So here we are on the final day of our wonderful tour around Scotland. I have abandoned my tour group today. I have put them on the barge all on their own to experience the Falkirk Wheel all by themselves. So I hope you do not think I have abandoned you. Hopefully it will become clear to you as to why I have stayed off the barge. Because as I mentioned, you cannot actually see what is going on. So I took this tour group over 3 days, 2 days into the tour. 2 days. On the third day I took over the tour. The tour group treated me very well. So thank you very much to each and every one of you for making my job very easy. It could have been awkward, but you made me feel very, very welcome. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your post-trip tour to the Shetlands for those of you who are going. And for those of you who are going home, I hope you are looking forward to sleeping in your own bed. We've been quite lucky with the weather. Only a couple of days. Unfortunately, we could not go to Iona due to the weather. But we've been quite lucky apart from that. So this is the boat now beginning to lift up. Hello everybody! Very slow moving, isn't it? Very silent as well. There is not much noise I've noticed comes from this. So as you can see, as one's going up, the other section is coming down. And at some point, the second barge that's lying in the dock here, that will go, when you go along for a sail, that boat will get put into that section, and as you're coming down, that boat will go up. It's really quite fantastic to see. So there she is, almost at the top. It doesn't take very long at all. And once you get up to the top, as you know by now, you will go for a little sail along through a tunnel, and then you'll come back in about 30 minutes time, hopefully. Hopefully nobody will fall off the barge. There's too much paperwork if things go wrong. So please stay safe, everyone. So that's the boat, just at the very top now. Look at the sun, isn't it beautiful? Quite cold today. There's quite a few of us seem to have a little bit of a head cold. That's the problem when you go on a coach tour. If anybody has anything, it tends to spread quite quickly. Although it's taken me about 10 or 11 days to catch the cold, so it's not too bad. It's just a head cold. It's a very beautiful morning here. As you can see, look at this. Very tranquil. Very peaceful here. I hope you enjoyed your tour around Scotland with me as your tour leader. I picked you up in Glasgow. We had the most horrific weather. Do you remember when we went to Robert Burns's cottage? Mind you, I don't think you will ever forget that day. Even the tour guide said it was the worst weather of the year so far. So I am a good tour leader, but I am not so good as I can control the weather, unfortunately. And of course we then headed up to the beautiful little town of Oban. And of course, unfortunately, We failed to make it to Iona. I apologise profusely for being a failure. I cannot control the weather. But hopefully you had a nice day in Tobermory instead, and we went for lunch. And of course we headed up to Inversnecky, Inverness. Beautiful little riverside setting. And then we headed up to Aberdeen, or as we call it in Edinburgh, Aberdoom, because the weather's usually even worse than Edinburgh, believe it or not, in Aberdeen. Of course we went to Gracie's farm to see the Highland coos, the Highland coos, before heading off to Edinburgh, Scotland. Before we stopped at the so-called home of golf, St Andrews. Before we leave the best till last, my hometown of Edinburgh. And here we are on the last day. I have loved having you as my tour group, so thank you very much for making my job easy and making my job an absolute privilege. And there's the barge now, heading off on your little journey. It's not a very long journey, but you go through a little tunnel to a basin and then you turn around and come back. Just like that. Hopefully you can understand my dulcet Scottish accent by now. I appreciate that some of you have had difficulty with my Scottish accent. And I am receiving elocution lessons. How now, brown cow, red lorry, yellow lorry, and so on. So hopefully by this time next year, I'm picking up some Americanisms as well. Herbs, oregano, basil, and all this. So hopefully next year, the American tourists will find it easier to understand me. Hopefully you got 75% of what I said. If it's any less, I apologise profusely. So what is happening now is your barge has arrived at the top. So the second sailing here, as you can see here, that's getting ready to load into the wheel. So he will go into the wheel, we'll set the water levels, and then he will start going up, and you will start going down. To begin with, the boats moved cargo around the country, obviously when the canals were built. However, the boat owners soon realised that people also wanted to travel the waterways. So by the mid-1830s, speedy little boats called swifts were carrying some 200,000 customers a year between Edinburgh and Glasgow, taking on average around 9 hours. Horses hauled the first canal boats. However, the arrival of steam brought massive changes, because unlike a horse, the steamboat could operate 24 hours a day. And of course steam later gave way to diesel engines, which needed only one crew. And that of course cut the wage bill, but it also freed up the cargo space, so they could carry more goods, making more money. Today, you're more likely to see pleasure cruises rather than barges on the canals, but links with the past do remain. Yachts still use the Forth and Clyde as the fastest route from coast to coast. There are the little ducks enjoying the Scottish sunshine. And this now is about to become in motion again. This will start rising up and you will start coming down. It really is an engineering masterpiece, isn't it? And of course there is a guy cutting grass, spoiling my audio. Typical. The guy has to do his job, however. He doesn't know that I am filming a video for my clients. So here we go. The second sailing is now lifting up as you're coming down. I think there was a slight delay today. I think the captain and the skipper of the second boat went missing in action. That's why there was a little delay, I think. Just to let you see a panoramic view of the area we are in. Little barges and so on. Pleasure cruisers. And here we are. Only takes about 5 minutes. As you can see, the two barges now are almost equidistant. Yes, that's right, Mr. Duck. And that's them almost at the halfway point just now. Hello everybody. And that is almost you back. So now we'll have to wait for the water level to get to the same level before you can slowly make your way round to the exit. It really is an engineering masterpiece. And that's it back down now. And now we're off to see the kelpies. Do you remember the cat we saw in Aberdeen, poised? The metal cat on top of the pillar? The sculptor was Andy Scott. Well, we're off to see the kelpies now. Made by the very same sculptor. Hopefully you've enjoyed having me as your tour leader. I've certainly enjoyed having you as my group. Thank you very much, everyone. And here you come. You see the barrier there? The barrier's lowering down. The water's reached the same level. So that's them now lowering the barrier, allowing you to slowly make your way over to the exit. It's a very slow process, isn't it? And here she comes. Lovely day today. There's some of my tour group waving. Hello! Lovely tour group. It's been a pleasure. I was supposed to have finished my tour, and then last week I was in my bed and I got a phone call. Can you please take over another tour tomorrow? Last Friday. I was like, yay! One more tour. So now slowly swing round. Lovely tour group, Greg and Kathleen. I just saw at the back there, Steve, Ray, Pam, Irene, Marie, Henny, Stephen. Judy, of course, I can see there as well. Pat and Dawn. So this is just the guys manoeuvring the boat around. There's a 180. The Antonine, of course named after a wall built by the Romans, who could not even conquer the tribes who lived in what would become Scotland. Of course they built Hadrian's Wall as well. And that's it swung right round now. And people will start coming off this side here. I could not see Tish. But she must be up there with Steve. I could not see her when she was coming into land. Hopefully she's on the barge. I think she is. And here's everyone coming off now. I hope you've enjoyed the boat trip. Everyone's safely off the land, back onto land. Hello! And here's Dawn and Pat as well, the biggest troublemakers on the tour. Pat's been my number 2 throughout this whole tour, actually. And she sewed back the buttons onto my jacket as well, which was fantastic, so thank you very much for that.